to introduce Alex Klein, I would say, of course, we all know him well, but Alex has been passionate about music all his life. And I say music, not just chazonis, which of course is a special passion, but all music. He's participated in it, he sings, he's been in musical shows, he's put on shows, he's toured artists around the country. He's now the director of the European Cantus Association, and at the moment he's interviewing selected cantors from across the world, talking to them about their careers. And he doesn't spend a moment that he's not thinking about music and chazonis and all the wonderful friends he has around the world. And he's been wanting David Ezra Okonsa to talk about his music for a long time. And at last we found this fantastic opportunity. So thank you for both of you for coming in at short notice. We're really looking forward to it. David is talking to us today from Ankara in Turkey. So he's a composer, a conductor, a musician, a pianist, and more will be revealed as I hand over to you, Alex, if you're on mute, and then you can take us on this wonderful journey with David Ezra Okonsa, who has visited us at the European Cantus Conventions. Alex.
Thank you, Geraldine, for those lovely and kind words. And I've also been looking forward to it because David has become a very close and very, very good friend. How did I meet David? Because I think you ought to know. Suddenly an email appeared, and on that email was a connection, and it says, David Ezra Okonsa, composer. Click on that, and I clicked on, and I listened to some CDs, and I love what I heard. So, like me, I wrote an email to David, who answered, and then we got into conversation. Then we talked about Jewish music, and a whole world opened up about David's passion for the Bible, how he understood and put his own mark on the music, how spiritually he wrote every note, every bit about the Bible in the contents that he believed it should be played and it should be composed. And then out of this came magnificent compositions, some in major, some in minor, some very moody, some very dark, some very joyous. And when we started to talk and talk and talk, I got into his mindset and he understood me, and we became, as I said before, became friends. I asked David to come and join us at Cantus conventions and also to play in concerts for me. So the very first performance at the Stoller Hall in Manchester, David played his Rhapsody, and so well received. And we also had another good friend of ours, Gergely Nagradi from Budapest, came and sang, and our dear friend Philip also played his Gershwin, which he loved. And we got together, and then in Prague, David played for us again at the Spanish Synagogue, absolutely to rapturous applause. And we keep in touch regularly. I love his music. I understand his music. And I would like David to tell his story. I mean, incredibly, David started to compose at the tender age of about 11. He had teachers. He had this passion for music and wonderful fingers that crossed the ivories. And David, please tell us your story, how you began, how you got involved, especially in the biblical side of the music and the passion. It's something very, very special. So over to you, David. Thank you. have to unmute. Can you unmute? Yeah.
Yes. All right. Thank you so much, Alex. You related it so well. I am really very happy and privileged to have a friend like you, and I enjoy it every time. So the story is it's a story like anyone else. I was born in Istanbul, and then I grew up in Paris first, and I had my musical education in Belgium in the Brussels Royal Conservatory. I have been always interested with composition, but I was mainly training to be a concert pianist. And even today, I cannot separate the two fields, performance and composing are two aspects of music making. And that makes me remember, I think my grand teacher, the teacher of my teacher, Eduardo del Pollo, said that if you want to read well, you need to know how to write well. And that's applies to music very much. So performing and composing are just two aspects of the same thing. Then on my journey, I always enjoyed very especially Jewish music. It spoke to me. It spoke very deeply to me all the time. And a few years ago, I wanted to get involved in composing on biblical themes and texts. Why? Why biblical texts? This is not for a religious thing only, or it's not at all a religious thing. The personage, the characters in the Bible are for me the most human and most bare human characters. I mean that all those biblical characters, be it the prophets or others, from David to Jeremiah, from Moses to Solomon, Job to Esther, men and women. They are so human in that sense that they have fears and loves and furies like all of us. They are not sanctified as saints in as with in other religions. They are just humans. So they have all those feelings expressed in such crystal-like, I mean, something which is all at the same time very strong, very sharp, very clear, without any disguise. So what I found in every text, from the Psalms to Aikach, from Hazinu to Shir Hashirim, from whatever, from Job, or from whatever you may think of, the stories I found there are really very, very deeply touching, and they are speaking to me in a way no other textual element can ever speak to a musician. So I started to compose on those things, and it is like the way I work is to read a text, to dream about a text. I'm not a biblical scholar. I don't do analysis. I don't do commentaries or things like that. I just read it. I enjoy it. I dream about it, and then the music starts. And when the music starts, I don't follow any rigid program, any rigid one-to-one connections between text and music. If you don't have to look for such a thing in my music. My music is just an emanation which may not correspond point per point to the text. It's it's a kind of an emanation from the text. You can also, in some way, you can even ignore the text by listening by music. And when I start to compose, the music has its own way to grow up. So I don't relate to the text point by point or chapter by chapter or anything like that. Well, this is mainly.
It tells a story, David. It tells a story. When I follow your text and then I follow the not just the libretto, but reading the notes and reading the music off the page, because I have your musical books, it tells a story, and the story changes. And does it change because of the moods that you're in or your dreams, or does it change because of the way you compose that and you read the text itself? Because you seem to go off on different tangents, and some things are, for me, extremely dark and moody, and then other times they're full of life. So how do you reflect that in your music, and what is your mindset to composing that way?
Well, I must honestly say I don't know. I must honestly say that when music starts to be composed, it is such a peculiar thing. It starts to have its own way to go. It's like growing a plant or something. It's okay. You care for it. You put water and you care for it, but it grows on its own. It dictates you where to go from where you are in there. It's very, very special thing. So honestly, I can say I don't know how it goes.
You talked a few moments ago about people in the Bible, tangible things, but then you composed something about angels, which are completely non-tangible. There's something that is from heaven, and it's not a contradiction, but it's something. Have you developed from moving from the what we can feel in this world to something that that's not tangible, that we can't feel, but by putting into your text Malachim, I mean, I was extremely impressed, and I was on a different plane, because it's something completely different from what I consider your previous works or your other works. So you've taken on a new direction. How did you come about to do that? What made you change direction?
Okay, it's not really a direction, you know. It is when I read about Maimonides' classification of angels in 10 categories. It was very interesting for me. I was very much interested with that, with this, and they all have delimitation and a special character. And I decided to make a large scale work of 10 pieces in each of these 10 categories. Actually, I have compiled here. I'll try to show it on the screen. So we said angels, Malachim. Okay. Okay, sorry, just a moment. I have to share that. Okay, can you see that? Okay, this is all based on the 10 categories as worked out by Maimonides. And maybe it can be interesting to talk at this point about my style of composing. I will let you on screen, by the way. I am actually a serialist composer, but unorthodox serialist. Can you see what I mean?
Can you give us some examples, maybe play us some examples or show us some musicality of what you mean and what you're trying to say?
Okay.
So
okay, can you see that these notes on the screen?
yeah.
Okay, so I wrote here, this is from my website, to musically reflect the idea of an angel. Can you please read the rest? So I make a tone series like this, see that? And I developed 10 derivative series from that and composed on those series. So I am following this series as defined by Pierre Boulez mainly, but I do some repetition of tones, and I am not very orthodox, very strict serialist composer anyway. I believe in melody, but the melody has not to be something you can sing or something you can easily remember. A melody can be a very much more complex thing, I believe. So maybe if we started about angels, we can maybe listen one piece of it.
That's a good idea, David.
Okay, I suggest the number 10, Hayot HaKodesh, Living Being Angels of Fire. Sorry. Sorry. Just coming, please. Okay, I'm just coming.
Very breathtaking for me. And I mean, where did it, when we look at contemporary 60s music, you know, from Stockhausen and people of that ilk, which probably influenced you to think outside the box. So this music of the 60s was brought forward. How did you come to develop that, and what made you go take that route?
Yes, so it was interesting. I discovered Pierre Boulez when I was about 15 or 16 years old. I got a copy of the Third Piano Sonata, and I am actually a French speaker, native French speaker, and it impressed me enormously, incredibly. I have all his books, and I started to read them at the age of 16 or 17, and it was well beyond my age at this time, and I read them again today. It influenced me very much. But what I said before about I'm not an orthodox serialist composer relates a little bit to Boulez, too. I admire very much, but I have also a very strong influences, I guess, from the Polish composers, especially Lutosławski and Gorecki has a very deep impact on me, I must say. Ligeti as well, on some aspect, Ligeti as well. And I have a special place in my heart for Lutosławski's music. And also I have to mention Dutilleux, Henri Dutilleux, which was the teacher of my composition teacher, actually. So in a way, I can be related to him. I think we are all a mixture of all those influences. So I have Boulez, I have Xenakis, I have Ligeti, I have Dutilleux, and I also have probably anything I have played as a pianist also remains in me somehow to influence me. I am also very much inclined to contemporary jazz music. And that maybe you can find some traces of that in my music. Contemporary and non-atonal jazz is a very strong influence to me as well, I must say.
So when you were in the conservatory in Brussels, did your teachers encourage you in this form of music? Did they to let you develop, or was it very rigid in the what you went through to get your degrees and to promote your music, or were you given a free rein, so to speak?
Oh, very much free, actually. I had the chance of studying with a woman composer, which is quite rare in this field, Madame Jacqueline Fontaine, she was acknowledged recently as well. She's the Belgium's premier composers, actually, Jacqueline Fontaine, former student of Dutilleux. And I had also very much influence about a teacher, Claude Balif. who was a student of Messiaen. And I must say, Messiaen is a big name in my history, in my mind. Messiaen is very important to me. I must say that's, so our teachers, Madame Fontaine was very modern thinking, very contemporary thinking composer. And so I was quite free to go on those directions.
So very close to Chabad in some ways, because influences and your connections to Chabad in Turkey. So picking up the the Hasidic element, were any of their nigunim or songs influenced? Did they influence you, or did they put you into a perspective of this Hasidic compositions, contemporary, modern?
Oh, yeah. Yes, you point that very well, Alex. Yes, all I learned about Judaism, I learned it from Chabad. Chabad's website.org is one of my most visited websites ever. And I followed as much as I could the lectures of the Rebbe. We have a very nice, very fantastic rabbi here in Turkey, Chabad, Mendy Hitrik. And this thinking, yes, you point that so well. I was unaware of that. Thank you, Alex. you found that exactly right.
So when you has Chabad asked you maybe to write some or to rewrite any of their nigunim from their history books, because they have 3 books of Hasidic nigunim, which some have been out of print and sometimes they've been badly copied or rewritten. So has anybody said to you, David, will you take on the mantle and rewrite or put into a modern format some of the nigunim from the Chabad dynasties, from the
No, not really. I did one experiment in that field, that is working on traditional Jewish melodies. You know, those rhapsodies I played, and I can play one of them if you wish now, because it's a totally another route. I took famous Jewish melodies, but I harmonized them in unorthodox ways with very bizarre transitions and modulations. It was all tonal material, but I worked on them in strangest way. It is not my main field of composing. My main field is just what you heard now. But it was a sort of excursion for me. And if you wish, we can listen to Rebbe Elimelech, for example.
Yes, why not?
Or Purim. Purim is interesting because I worked with 2 different melodies on the same rhapsody. One minor, one major Purim, the most famous Purim songs. I tried to play with both of them. So I'll try to share that.
That'll be wonderful. I've heard these live, so I know. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Purim. Okay. Okay. Just a moment.
there's so many musical elements that I recognize and I see, and I'm thinking, is it classical? Is it contemporary? Is it jazz? Is it klezmer? Is it a mixture of everything? Because my mind is going and I'm following you and I'm listening, and it changes and then it changes and it changes and it becomes evolving and different with the theme. It's like what we call the nusach. It's like the thread that goes through it is always there, but then it's embellished and embellished in various different aspects of music. Explain how this came about. I think it's magnificent.
Thank you very much. Actually, no, I was just thinking of Leonard Bernstein. So indeed, I am a fan of eclecticism. I don't like specializations in music. I don't like to be restrained in one particular genre. I enjoyed as much doing this composition that the same as doing the other things, doing the malakim or the other things. No, I don't believe one has to be just like a tonal composer or a popular composer or what. You can enjoy both and you can do all, and this is good. This is life. Of course, you can see if ideas from Liszt Hungarian rhapsodies, because
I also hear Gershwin.
Yes, right.
And this is when I listen to his piano rolls and the original stuff that from Timpan Alley, I can hear that sort of. It's like the tonal sound of the piano, which he started, playing, covering music and doing various other things. That's how he began his career. But from the composition, I can hear that. It's, how can I put it? The sound, or the like the ragtime coming into the Jewishness and coming into the klezmer, but it's not ragtime as such, but it is. So those influences, every time I hear this sort of music, that rhapsody that you play, I hear different elements. And are we meant to hear different elements and find our own elements, or is this how it was constructed?
Yes, exactly. And if you wish, this is just what you say. You said there's the Rebbe Elimelech. My treatment of this melody is also very just exactly as you mentioned now. That was my idea, to take those themes and work them in as many different lighting, the harmonizations or the transitions and modulations, they are all kind of light things, light effects on one purpose, on one theme. And then you can see influences by Liszt or Gershwin. You point so well. Yes, I didn't thought about that. That was very, 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 very peculiar. Okay, we may go on the same style if you wish with Rabbi Elimelech, or
I think I would like to go into again, a favorite of mine. I don't know whether other people have heard it, part of Ha'azinu, because again, that is something that is extremely moody. You call it the Song of Moses, which is a great title. It is different from Malachim, from the angels, but to me, it's also has it's very shady in the sense that shady or moody or exciting, and then in places it's so dark and so tragic in some respects. So believing in Moses' life of enthusiasm for the Jewish people, standing in front of God, doing all the things that the Bible tell us, and being put through all that trauma to find out that you can't go into the promised land. I mean, maybe those are your key elements to the composition, or maybe I'm reading it wrong.
No, you are reading it absolutely right, and it is such a human text. I mean, it speaks. He spoke really like one to one, person to person. That was amazing for me to hear, and it moved me very much. And then, as I said before, I moved away from the text, and the text generated this music in me its way. So I will see what you have for prepared
Just
for.
maybe a little bit of a few minutes of something which gives that flavor to those that are listening. So it's the flavor as I see it, and I've read it, so it's incredible. When you first sent it to me, I was listening with Philip, my friend, and
Yeah.
it just had the wow factor. So it's something that is unusual for a modern day composer of something biblical to get me into that mood sense, you know, that the idea. So I think the sense that you put into your music actually is a very, very good interpretation.
Thank you. Okay, so I will share now the number one of that. Okay. Is it enough, or would you like to continue, or maybe another
I just picked this the actual music up because I can't see it all on the screen, but it's just incredible because I wanted to follow it, but it would take me to another place, and I don't want to. I want to be here, not drift to another place. But your music has this way of, I close my eyes and I drift away, and it permeates and it goes through the soul. So that has an effect. And I say this, I'm very particular about music, and I love all sorts of genres of music, as Geraldine pointed out, from jazz to classics, from folk to cantorial to Yiddish to klezmer, etc. And what drew me is I'm trying to get into your mindset of your thinking, and how from you put this down on paper, a person's soul, a person's movement, a person's life into music notes. And this is, it's a gift, and you can feel the music, and that's something that is very, very important. And when music makes you, it uplifts you in the times of sorrow, in the times of problems. I personally turn to music, and many times I put on your music and drift away, and it helps me to relax. So it's an important thing, and this is a compliment. I mean, I really mean it sincerely. So what is your next step? What is your projects? What is your future? What are you looking into at the moment? Since the COVID, you've had, you mentioned that you are composing it on a prolific scale, and you're doing so. What can we expect from the pen of David Ezra Ockenstar?
Okay, yes. I have several projects which are going on, and I am very much towards orchestral writing now, and I want to be able to hear my music. I worked hard on what is called now virtual orchestration. It is just making the orchestra out of computer, and I finished 2 symphonies. The first is Eika, and the second is Orraz. I'd like to talk about, and I am also working intensely on an opera, Ruth and Naomi. This is also quite advanced, in an advanced stage now. I have also a project of featuring the women of the Bible, the text from Women of the Bible in a series of songs, orchestral songs, not unlike the songs of the earth of Mahler, something like that. So I suggest you to hear a few minutes of my first symphony, Eika. What would you?
Absolutely. Yeah, I would love to hear, because we've heard the piano. Let's hear some Let's hear some orchestration or virtual orchestration. You've talked about it, and maybe you can play something that you might not have finished, or you might be something that you can give us a little bit of sample of what you just talked about, so to excite us and to
Yes. I have prepared an extract of my working, just from my working environment on Shir HaShirim, that I'm going to make as an oratorio for women voice, men chorus, children chorus, and orchestra. It is very long. It will be about 2 hours. I think people will be dead by the end of it.
So is there something that we can, a short snippet of something that we can get?
Yes, you'll have that. Maybe first we start with Eka, which is my first orchestral adventure, and you'll tell me what you think of.
Ah, thank you. That was so powerful and so. I'm just getting my breath. I'm excellent, and yeah, I'm back with it. I'm on it. It's only because I'm on a journey with your music. So
thank you so much. Thank you. I see. So you see, now I am on the orchestra, and because people are not inclined to play new music that much, I have to make it my own. So I had to make it my own orchestra. and I tried my best to do it. This is also a very important point on Jewish music, is that the contemporary Jewish music has to be pushed on the stage. It is really not so much present on the stage, I think, on the performance stage.
So please God, when we have our next convention in Budapest, you can push it on the stage, and you have the stage at your disposal to play some of your music for us and for everybody who's attending the convention. We would love that.
Thank you so much.
So now that is beautiful. Now on to something new that
Yes.
I've not heard before, and I would like to hear for the first time. Okay, so your choice. Enthrall us.
Okay. I may suggest first a few minutes of my second symphony, which is it'll be different, and then to end up with my ongoing project, Shir HaShirim.
Excellent.
Okay.
Fantastic. Thank you.
So I will look for just a moment. Sorry. No, didn't start it. Just a moment. Okay, this is the idea is the words or, light, and raz, the mystery, are have both the same numerical values, and this piece is about kind of it's very often scherzo-like. It's this connection between light and mystery. They seem contradictory, but they are not actually. And that was the starting idea for this for this work.
It's incredible. We're going to play a couple of other pieces, and then we will open the floor to some questions. Yes. I'm sure other people would like to ask you some questions, and okay. So what do you want to play next? What
just a few minutes of my working environment, the view on Shir HaShirim.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just a moment. Okay, this is where I work. Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Incredible. I mean, if I had that equipment, I wouldn't know what to do with it. But you have to be, in that mindset. So do you experiment on the computer with the different sounds and then notate them, or do you notate and then put them onto the computer? Which way round do you do it?
Yeah, both of them. Both of them. Sometimes the sound dictates the notes, and sometimes the notes dictates the sound. But I worked very hard to have all these things going on, and so because when you are concentrated on music, you don't have to have anything else in your mind, nothing technical. You don't even have to think about it. So that needs quite of learning to do. But then again, you are free to have even the vocals here are synthetic, of course, you may have noticed. But it's better than nothing. At least you can hear something. You can hear what you are doing, and hopefully this is going to be a large-scale project of the Shira Shirim. It's the best love song ever written. I mean, I cannot imagine something else.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. So how do people, if people want to go onto your website or purchase your music books or your CDs, how do they do this? I mean, can you put your details into our chat?
Yes,
so
thank
somebody...
you. It is oconcert.com, and I am also on almost every MP3 things, Apple Music or Spotify or whatever there is to be. Just on my name, search on my name, and all my music is available online.
Okay, so what is the finale going to be before I open this up to questions? So
I believe you can open up. You can open up now.
Are you sure?
Yes, please do.
Okay, so that is Geraldine's domain, and maybe before we open up to questions, Geraldine, I'd rather you speak about Budapest than myself, because you know exactly the same as I do, and you're more eloquent than I am. So please, Geraldine.
Well, thanks, Alex, and thank you so much for giving us our ears such an amazing array of different sounds that we've been listening to. So I wonder if anybody would like to comment or ask some questions or say anything about David's music. There have been some very nice comments in the chat, and it's been very interesting to hear you talk about it. So Marsha, do unmute and say something.
First of all, thank you very, very much for this wonderful presentation. I have to admit, I was not familiar with your music, and I'm looking forward to hearing more of it. It really was a case of my ears waking up, because as a cantor and a composer of Jewish liturgical music, that often is, for lack of a better term, respectful of nusach, because it's used in the synagogue when I am composing. I found this very, just opened my ears considerably in terms of what the possibilities are for having texts be inspiring, without necessarily trying to have the partnership, if you will, on a micro level of each of the words being in the proper meter, etc. I was wondering if you were familiar with some of the various tropes. And you mentioned Leonard Bernstein, and of course the Jeremiah Symphony invokes, some of these, the Echa music tune, or whatever you would like to call it. But I'm wondering if you ever played around with, or considered playing around with, using some of the tropes as sort of a tone row, for example, or alternatively using the trope as a mechanism for creating some kind of a theme and variations form without necessarily, how should I say, changing anything about your style or approach. But I kind of am wondering if you ever thought about that, doing something like that.
Thank you to bringing this to my attention. I will certainly look at that very soon. It is a fantastic idea, and I thank you again. No, I did not use any of that the tropes about as a serial material, but that would be a fantastic idea to go on. Thank you very much. I'll keep that in mind. It can be, because the way I work with the series is actually very much in a manner of tropes. Mm-hmm. And that reminds me the work by Pierre Boulez, which is just called Tropes. Mm-hmm. So it is very close, and I must admit I never thought about that. It's a fantastic idea. Thank you very much. I'll keep that in mind. I appreciate it.
Just one last thing. Thank you. As I was putting this idea forward to you, it occurred to me that I'm sure you're familiar with this, in a lot of very early Christian music, the masses of, say, Josquin des Prez, there's this usage, this compositional technique of Cantus Firmus. Are you familiar with that? So that's another way to approach using that assemblage of trope figures or whatever. Just another thought.
Yes. Actually, in the Hazino, there is a basic series which always appears in that particular succession of notes, and which is the I can say it almost symbolized the voice of Moses, which but it appears in so many different aspects in positions. So the idea is very close of what you mentioned. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yes. Thank you.
Thanks. Dan Katz.
Yes, thank you. First of all, thank you very much for the presentation. I wanted to ask actually a very similar question to what Marsha asked. In Shir HaShirim, the vocal line was very different from the instrument, from what the orchestra was playing. It was very sparse and very linear. So I wanted to ask if that was a sort of Eastern trope, and obviously the answer is no, it was not. Mm-hmm. But moving a little further along from what Marsha was saying, I'm thinking not so much of a Renaissance Cantus Firmus, but going back even further, to Léonard and Perrotin. We have this very long, elongated, slow lines, which also are reminiscent of Messiaen, and of which this style partially reminds me, because there are a lot of other things going on here as well. You had mentioned some songs you said in the style of Mahler or similar to Mahler. And you just mentioned them in passing. I wonder if you could tell us a little bit more about this, maybe play an excerpt from one of them.
Oh, yes. No, when I mentioned Mahler, it was just the idea of having a big cycle of songs with orchestra.
Okay.
Not particularly anything related to his style, but just with one female singer only, but large orchestra and large amount of time. I mean, large scale, but just with one solo voice and orchestra. That was the
Right.
only thing. It was not about the style or the idea of the composition.
And this is in reference to the Shir HaShirim project, or is this something else?
No, this is another project I have in mind. I started a few things about it. It is a project of taking the few pages from women of the Bible, especially the prayers of the women in the Bible, such as Rebecca's, Hannah, and others, and turning them into songs. With female voice and large orchestra.
Okay, thank you.
I like to work, actually, I must say, I like to work on several projects at a time. I feel that this is, I must say that I'm not happy working on only one thing. Because my point of saturation, maybe it's just me or most people, I don't know. My point of saturation happens in about 2 hours time.
Mm-hmm.
In it, at the end of something like 2 hours, I don't have anything new to say. So I like to switch off and get to another project, and then it refreshes my mind and I feel creative again. So this is why I start to work at least on 3 projects, 3 compositions, or even more at a time.
Right. Interesting.
Thank you. Very, very interesting. Well, it's certainly been a fascinating journey.
Sorry,
and there's
Geraldine,
no end to the... Did you want to say something, Alex?
Yeah, I just noticed in the chat, Robert Child mentioned something, and he said we should mention that David's recitals in Istanbul and Izmir in the synagogues, he would like to commend him for those recitals, and he would like David to say a couple of words about them.
Okay. Robert Schild is a very nice friend of mine. He was living in Istanbul, and then he made Aliyah 5 years ago or something like that. And he really supported me very much. I am grateful, eternally grateful to him. He's actually behind the project of Rhapsody Hebraïque that I dedicated to him and his wife. And he wanted me to compose these musics for a recital he organized in the beautiful German synagogue of Istanbul. The German synagogue of Istanbul is one of the most beautiful in the world. It's a small synagogue, but it's crafted in an extraordinary way. It is absolutely unforgettable. So they made a very good, it was a very nice concert. And we also repeated that concert in a synagogue in Izmir. He was also behind this projects. So he left now, but well, I remember him, I love him, I hope to see him soon.
Thank you so much. Back to you, Geraldine, sorry to interrupt.
Good, no, thank you for that. So I think that your finale was a wonderful finale to end up with, and we've got a lot to look forward to in the future. So we certainly look forward to following your journey, and to hearing more music. So thank you very much from all of us. Now, just to turn to Budapest, Alex has been working very, very hard with the Jewish community in Budapest, who are very keen to host the next convention there. They are opening the newly refurbished Rumbach Synagogue, which is one of the beautiful synagogues in Budapest, for us. They will have rooms for concerts and rooms for lectures and recitals. And we are Alex has always got new ideas and new things to do for conventions. So we're hoping that we'll have a lot of people. More than one choir have offered to come and sing for us in the synagogue and in our concerts. We've got about 8 or 9 people, distinguished teachers who are looking forward to coming. We're going to go not just for lectures and masterclasses. We're going to give people who want to lead creative ensembles an opportunity. So there'll be a chance for people to sign up to do a creative ensemble for synagogue music, with or without instruments. And we could play some of those at the final concerts. So there's a lot to look forward to and a lot of interesting things. It should take place, all being well, COVID with everything, at the beginning of November this year, the 2nd to the 6th of November 2022 in Budapest. And everybody's welcome, whether you're a cantor or not. And it should be a really stimulating and refreshing few days together in Budapest. Is there anything else you'd like to say about it, Alex?
Yeah, it's going to be very contemporary, very mixed. So both men and women are invited to sing, and in our concerts and gala concerts. And I'm hoping to have some of the female cantors join us from America and some of the Canadians and Americans. And if my wish were to come true, what I would love to do is compose something, maybe get one of the modern composers of synagogue music today to maybe compose something special that we can work on and in a breakout room or a special session that we can then premiere for the first time at the gala concert at the end of the convention. That's my aim, and that's my mission, and that's what I'm working on at the moment. So I'd love to think outside the box, and as far as I'm concerned, everybody is equal, and you know, there's no them and us and them. So everybody is welcome. Please tell your friends wherever they are in the world. When we put up our notice, probably around March time, hopefully, but we're just getting into the beginnings of things and finding hotels and one thing and another. We will have a most wonderful convention. What I would like to say also, I'm going to stick to a traditional Orthodox style davening with a male choir, and that is not being sexist. It's something that I believe is very few and far between, and quite unusual for today, and only in certain places. So because we're in a wonderful city of Budapest with so much history of cantorial tradition, I would like to maybe, you know, with the music of Kvartin and some of the Eastern European music, to bring that out in choral pieces. So I've invited a male choir, the cantorial singers from London, who are going to join us, plus other choirs. And if an egalitarian minyan for during the week is requested and wanted, and there's enough people, we will have that. So yes, I'm going to think outside the box. I'm going to do it, as you say, my way, and I want everybody to embrace this by coming and joining me and showing that these things do matter. They matter to me, and what I say in inverted commas, bums on seats are very, very important. So please support me and support what the ECA is doing to I don't know, to have achdus amongst all the different branches of Judaism. We're one people, one branch, paying to one God, whichever way we want to do it. So come and join me. Let's embrace this in our next convention in Budapest. That's my thoughts while I'm healthy enough to be able to do it, hopefully, and COVID-free. This is what I want to do. So please tell your friends, please tell everybody, people from the Cantus Assembly, people from the JTS, students, from Geiger, from anywhere in the world, it doesn't matter. Come and join us. Let us all celebrate the end of COVID, hopefully, that we can all get on stage and sing together as one voice. Am Echad. That's my wish, and that's what I would love. And that's straight from here. Anybody who knows me knows that the way I'm talking is straight from the heart. So please let it happen. I hope it does happen.
Yes.
Alex, I'm sure your wishes will come true. Thank you. And let's just go to what's coming on COS next week. Next week, we're into Yiddish on the 1st of February, Yiddish Music Archives as a living space between research and creativity. So important that you can find the stuff in the archive, study it, and then perform it. So that should be really special. And that is Eleanor Buzinski with Mark Slobin. Very important people, and so that should be good. After that, Yehoash Hirschberg in Israel and Michal Volpi are talking with Malcolm Miller on the music of Joseph Tull, one of the fathers of Israeli music, very important. So that is just part one. And before part two, Yaakov Fisher and I are bringing you a session called Bringing Jewish Music to the Concert Stage, which we've both been doing. I've done it in London and around, and he's done it in Jerusalem. So once more, thanking you so much for a beautiful presentation today and for coming in to do this. Thank you to everybody who's been listening, and look forward to seeing you again next week, same time, same place.
Before we leave, before you leave, can anybody who would like to, please join me tomorrow at 7 p.m. UK time for when I'll be speaking to Alberto Mizrahi, who's most wonderful cantor and has a beautiful story to tell. We will also be saying a few words on our beloved friend Robert Keevel, and Benny Meisner. I've asked him to say a few words, so he will do so, and I will just open up just a couple of minutes because I think we need to pay tribute to a wonderful man good friend who we've lost. And please God, please join us tomorrow night and tell other people, because it's very important. Alberto is a great guy, and those who know him, he's got a wonderful story, a wonderful voice. We're going to listen to some of his music, hear his story, and please join us. Have a very, very good evening. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you, David, for being who you are, and may you continue with your projects and they come to fruition and we can all hear them. Love you very much. Take care.
Thank you all. Thank you very much.